I'm sorry.
Commissioner Olivas, sound check. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
You ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I call this August 19th, 2026 meeting of the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority to order. Member Pena is excused. Councilor Grout is serving as an alternate this evening for Member Lewis, and Member Olivas is joining us online. All of the members are present. Thank you. Now we will have an invocation and pledge of allegiance. A moment of silence, please, and then I will lead the pledge. Please join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If I'm a little slow on the agenda, I had the month of July off, so I'm just getting my feet back on the ground. Now, item number 3, approval of the minutes. I move we approve May 20th, 2026 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Salas, will you please take the roll?
Chair Barbara Baca,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dan Champagne,
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca,
Yes.
Councilor Renee Grout,
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
So, thank you. Item 4, proclamations and awards. For the quarterly employee recognition awards, and if you hear your name, if the employee is here, please come forward when your name is called. And I will start with Frederick Montoya, an award of $100. Mr. Montoya is recognized for working outside of his normal maintenance function to assist operators and electricians in the completion of their duties. Mr. Roberts Anton, $200 award. Come on down. Mr. Roberts Anton, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, is recognized for his outstanding work in assisting with the unclogging of sand silo piping. Thank you. Vincent Herrera, $150. Chris Garcia and Ty Pacheco, $175. These individuals are recognized for their critical leadership of the electrical team during a period of short staffing. Thank you. Stephanie Dubois, $200. Ms. Dubois is recognized for her management and implementation of 3 centralized engineering construction projects, including the Santa Barbara Arsenic Treatment Facility, the Las Lomas Waterline Replacement Project, and the Vacuum Station 63 Tank Rehab Project. Thank you. Raymond Sandoval, $200 award. Mr. Sandoval is recognized for his above and beyond efforts associated with the management and implementation of the Tohaja-Lee Transmission Line Project. Thank you so much. Long-awaited project in my district on the west side. Miriam Lechuga Moreno, $200 award. Ms. Moreno is recognized for her above and beyond efforts associated with the revamp of centralized engineering's SharePoint project management folder system. Tamara Beatty, $175 award. Ms. Beatty is recognized for her development of innovative online training modules for the Treatment Plant Operations Certification Training Program. Jude Gouroulet, $200 award. Mr. Gouroulet is recognized for his outstanding work in maintaining continuity of operations at the Soil Amendment Facility during a period of short staffing and staff turnover. Vincent Tapia, Arturo Tostado, Jose Frias, Ian Sanchez, Santiago Herrera, $100 each. These employees are recognized for their efforts to ensure that emergency water hauling capacity has been fully maintained during periods of unusually high demand. Thank you so much. Matthew Duran, $175 award. Mr. Duran is recognized for working with a vendor on a battery recycling program with potential to save the utility to upwards of $10,000 per year. A good investment, good return on investment there. Thank you. Matthew Duran, Santiago Lopez, Christopher Nelson, and Francis Lechuga Mihalik, 10 hours each. Sorry about the name. These individuals are recognized for their outstanding work running the Mission Warehouse during a period of short staffing. Thank you. Michael Hale, $100. Mr. Hale is recognized for outstanding work. Oh, come on down. Sorry. Mr. Hale is recognized for outstanding work in removal and replacement of critical intake equipment. Thank you. And finally, Genaro Olivas, $200. Mr. Olivas is recognized for his outstanding vigilance and safety awareness in identifying a potentially hazardous propane leak at the soil amendment facility. Thank you, and thank you all. We want to give a round of applause to everyone. Thank you. Now we move on to public comment. Ms. Salas, do we have anyone signed up?
Madam Chair, we have two this evening. The first one is Patrick Marquez.
Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes to speak with a warning at 2.5 minutes. Please proceed. I think at this one. Welcome.
Yes, I'm here to address bad billing, and I don't know how to describe this, ma'am, in reference to the Water Authority and the solid waste. I have a property at 6625 Hallmark Court, Northeast Albuquerque, New Mexico. I had it sold on a real estate contract, and back in the day, the property had some problems, and it went 8 months arrears with the Water Authority. Water Authority then, they tried to come after me for the money due to the fact that I had to provide a real estate contract to prove that it wasn't my property. So basically what's happening with solid waste riding on the back of the Water Authority bill, the house became substandard. There was no services rendered for like 8-9 months. And the billing has just gotten so bad to where it became argumentative between the City of Albuquerque Refuge Department and the Water Authority. Water Authority, there was Henrietta Mendez. If you reach out to Ms. Mendez, she tried fervently in reference to resolving the problem. There's still monies that are owed and just the havoc that I went through. So I did reach out to Mr. Lewis's office. And I need somebody to look at this problem of what's going on, because with the title of Bernalillo County, it's not Bernalillo County. The Water Authority is one division, then you got solid waste riding on the back of the division. So I even asked Henrietta, when all this thing comes apart, who's gonna be in charge? So then it came out to be that 11/25/25, I paid all these bills. I subtracted the refuge part on it, but they still did not reimburse the monies. There was monies now that was reimbursed just recently, this last bill. No explanation, no nothing. I even spoke to the director, Mr. Griego, with the Water Authority back in 10/28/25, also the deputy director. So right now, between the billing of what's happening between refuge riding on the back of the Water Authority bill, then the title of Bernalillo County, it's a mess, and no one's being held accountable. So now, who's in charge? Is it the board? Is it kind of like SCAFCA, the Southern Sandoval County Flood Authority, where nobody looks? There's no authoritative over what's happening with this building. And what's really awkward too is that the City of Albuquerque has become so, I gotta say, pathetic. I'm a retired firefighter with the Albuquerque Fire Department. We got 6 decades in that department. And to see this, the way the mayor's office is handling things, it's atrocious. And there's no problem solving, no nothing. So I'm looking for someone that can evaluate this, look at this, improve it for others. That way it goes forward. So I'm looking for someone from the board that can
Thank you,
come
sir.
forward and address this item.
Thank you. This isn't a question and answer opportunity, but I do want to tell you that staff will reach out to you and our executive director.
Yes, I appreciate it kindly.
If you
Thank
could-
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Sorry for your problems and confusion.
Madam Chair, we have Elaine Hubbard online. I'll bring her on.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Hubbard.
Ms. Hubbard, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. I'm Elaine Hubbard. Welcome back from the hot summer vacation. Seeing the dry Rio Grande is more than enough to look for ways to ensure its survival, and ours. I believe that means that the ABCW, not update, but a new water management strategy is needed with the goal of reducing depletions. Assumptions that were made in the 2016 plan are not coming to pass. To begin with, as I included in my written comments, river flows have already declined by as much as 50% over the last 50 years. And they're expected to continue to decline according to the Leap Ahead report. Pumping groundwater results in river depletions. So when we increase pumping by, say, giving it to Intel or to additional water users, we are increasing depletions at a time when river flows are declining. The offsets don't reduce the hole that was created, they just offset the ongoing depletions, but they don't reduce them. So what I would suggest is that a new water plan with a focus to reduce depletions be created. And until then, funding various projects sort of on a piecemeal basis, like the ASR projects on the agenda tonight, seem sort of awkward because you need to be able to evaluate the pluses and minuses of each one of those plans given the new goal. So I would suggest that focusing on instead new projects, the big backlog that was talked about earlier this year of $178 million should be looked at. I also would suggest that the drought indicators need to be added, updated with the drought reduction. So, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. And that will conclude our public comment. Sorry.
Madam Chair, that concludes.
Thank you. We move on to item 6, announcements and communications. The next scheduled meeting of the Water Authority Board will be September 23rd, 2026 at 5 p.m. in the Vincent D. Griego Chambers. And now we move on to item 7, introduction of legislation. This is the first reading and there will not be a vote on these items tonight. Start with 7A, R2623, and we have Luz Carrion. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Luz?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
All righty.
It's all yours.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this resolution authorizes the Water Authority to enter into a loan agreement between the Water Trust Board and the New Mexico Finance Authority in the amount of $300,000 and a grant of $2.7 million. This loan grant is for AMI Phase 5, which is the final phase of AMI. The loan amount, there will be a 0.25% admin fee, and the Water Authority has to match this grant loan in the amount of $1 million. And any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Luz. We will move on to 7B, R2624.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this grant loan, again, is to enter into an agreement with the Water Trust Board and the New Mexico Finance Authority for a loan in the amount of $3.3 million to be paid back to the New Mexico Finance Authority with, again, a 0.25 admin fee. The loan amount is $18.7 million. This grant loan is for the construction of ASR 2 and 3, and the Water Authority will provide a match of $3.4 million. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Yes, Councilor.
Madam Chair, where is ASR 2 and 3?
That is at the Vulcan site, which is on, what is that? Chappelle.
And where's Chappelle?
It's by our water plant. So it's
Northeast I-20
by,
It's
25.
directly, Madam Chair, Councilor Grau, it is on the, Chappelle runs north-south, north of REI area where our customer service building is like due east
Okay.
of there.
North part of Albuquerque.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
right, yeah,
good.
on the west of I-25.
Very good. Thank
Counselor
you.
Graham.
Yes,
It's
sir.
right behind Century 24 Theater,
Got it.
right along the drain ditch.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Great, now we'll move on to 7C, R2625. Ms. Carrion?
so this resolution is for the Heras Reuse Reservoir, the state capital outlay funding. This is state capital outlay funding for the Tijeras Reuse Reservoir in the amount of $25,000. All of this is grant funding from the state. There is no match. Any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Carrion? Seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to 7D, R2626.
So this is another state capital outlay grant for aquifer storage and recovery. This is to plan, design, and construct, and the award amount was $100,000. And again, all grant funding.
Great, any
Any
questions?
questions?
Seeing none. Item 7E, R26-27.
So this state capital outlay is for the South Valley Water and Wastewater Improvements Project. The award was $1.125 million. And again, this is all grant funding from the state. Any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, okay, move on to 7F, R26-28.
So this is for the non-potable water reuse treatment plant. Again, plan, design, and construct. The award amount is $530,000. Again, all grant funding.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 7G, R26-29.
So this state capital outlay agreement is for Carnival Water. Again, plan, design, and construct, and the award amount is $325,000.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, that's it. Thank you, Ms. Carrion.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Item 8 is the consent agenda that has been published. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. And roll call, please, Ms. Salas.
Madam Chair Baca,
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne,
Yes.
CAO Samantha Single,
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca,
Yes.
Councilor Renee Grau,
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes.
And that passes unanimously. Item 9, approvals. These we will need a motion and a second and a vote on each item. And we'll start with 9A, R26-20. And we have Erica Jaramillo and John Hatz Gallagher, Benefits Services.
Madam Chair, board members, good evening. My name is Erica Jaramillo. I am the Human Resources Manager for the Water Authority. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes about this resolution. I'm here with John Hatz, who is our consultant from Gallagher Consulting and Benefit Services. As you know, we currently participate in the governmental pool operated by the City of Albuquerque. And we are working with our independent consultant, Mr. Hatz, and his team. And they have completed a feasibility analysis for us to study the costs, risks, and potential impact of creating a separate benefits plan for Water Authority employees. The analysis identified operational, financial, and administrative considerations.
Yeah, just to build on that, I can tell you that our analysis went back over an 8-year period, looking at, again, the financial impacts, comparing the costs that the water authority alone as compared to the pool that they're participating in, and see if there was a financial difference in the cost of benefits for the water authority's employees versus the pools. The study did show that out of the 8 years, 6 out of the 8, the water authority ran at or better than the pool. So suggesting there could be financial advantages of pulling out and being on their own. And then some of the other considerations would be the autonomy to design your own benefit program that better aligns with your workforce goals and total reward strategies as it relates to your employees.
Thank you.
So as you know, the resolution is not a approval for final plan documents. It's just authorization for staff to continue to evaluate, plan, negotiate, and review proposals. It authorizes us to negotiate and work with the city of Albuquerque, who've been very supportive and assisting us with questions and been very understanding with the fact that we're just doing our due diligence to see. This is just taking the next step in the process.
Thank you, Ms. Jaramillo. And I'm glad that you made that statement, because it's important for us to know this is a next step to continue this analysis prior to this body taking action on this. So,
Yes, ma'am.
any questions for Ms. Jaramillo or Mr. Hatz? No questions? So I move approval of R26-20. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Ms. Ellis?
Madam Chair Baca,
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne,
Yes.
CAO Single,
Yes.
Commissioner Baca,
Yes.
Councilor Grau,
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. All right. Okay, we move on to 9B, C2613, David Loeffler, to present.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, the Water Authority staff is requesting approval of a contract with TLC/SPRD for the construction of our ASR 2 and 3 project at the Chappelle site. We went through a bid process and received bids from several contractors. TLC/SPRD was the low bidder on the project and was deemed to be responsive. The total bid amount was $25,296,252.11, including NMGRT, and we're requesting approval by the board to be able to contract with TLC and move forward with the construction of the project.
Thank you. I move approval, and then we can discuss if there are questions. A second? Councilor Grout. Any questions? And a reminder, you have a copy here on the dais that we should. We didn't receive one in the iPad, I'm told so. Any questions or concerns? Councilor Grout.
I just have one question, Madam Chair. When does this project begin?
Well, upon, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, this project will begin in terms of construction. Once we've signed the contract with the contractor, we'll hold a pre-con meeting, and then based on material delivery timeframes, et cetera, construction likely would start within the next 2 months or so.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Very good.
And the construction timeframe will be at least 24 to 30 months.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? If not, Ms. Ellis?
Madam Chair Baca,
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne,
Yes.
CAO Single,
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca,
Yes.
Councilor Grau,
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. Item 9C, C26-14, Mr. Loeffler.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, requesting approval for the board to sign a power purchase agreement with Somos for the Alameda Solar Project. This project is underway in terms of construction for solar panels at the Alameda project. It'll benefit both the city, the county, as well as our raw water pump station facility, and in terms of providing power, and then of course provides side benefit to all of our ratepayers and folks that frequent that open space facility for covered parking. And Somos was, through a bid process, Somos was the respondent to that bidding process and subsequent negotiations.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. I think this is a very exciting project, good collaboration, and a good alternative use for our energy. So I move approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Grout. Any questions or discussion? Ms. Solis, please call the roll.
Madam Chair Baca?
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne?
Yes.
CAO Single?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca?
Yes.
Councilor Grout?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Great. That passes unanimously. Item 9D, C2615. Again, Mr. Laughlin.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Water Authority staff is requesting approval to sign a contract with New Mexico Underground Utilities as a result of our Tejeras RRPS, which is Reuse Reservoir and Pump Station Facility, for our bid package 1A. This project will ultimately install a reuse reservoir at the Mesa del Sol area to eventually provide reuse water for irrigation and industrial uses at the Mesa del Sol development area. And through a bidding process, New Mexico Underground was the low bidder at a cost of $4,608,499, including an MGRT. And we're requesting approval of this bid to be able to contract with them and move forward with construction.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. I move approval. Moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion? Yes.
Madam
CAO
Chair,
Single. Yes.
thank you. Just for a point of clarification, you said Mesa del Sol?
The RRPS site is in the Mesa del Sol development,
Okay,
but it is a Water Authority property.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Solis, please call the roll.
Madam Chair Baca?
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne?
Yes.
CAO Single?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca?
Yes.
Councilor Grout?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. 9E, C26-16, Mr. David Morris. Welcome, Mr. Morris.
Madam Chair, members of the board, here seeking your approval to enter into a contract for media buying and communication services. We moved this from the consent agenda so that I might have the opportunity to update you on the changes to our budget and strategies for public outreach as we move into a new fiscal year and a new era with a new advertising agency. Let's see. So just to provide you a little background, our PR and advertising contract has been held since 2007 by a firm called CWA Strategic Communications, which has been a one-stop shop for public relations and advertising services. Patty Watson is the president of that firm. Patty is planning to retire. CWA is winding down. And so we need to address that transition. Meanwhile, over the last several years, media costs in the local market have risen considerably. For example, radio time is up by 50%. Printing is up 72%. Television time is up by about 105%. And the result of this has been an erosion of our market reach while also limiting the available funding for the development of new campaigns. So, by way of addressing this, we've added some money to the communications budget to help meet these rising costs, about $250,000. We're reorganizing our approach. We're going to have a contract with separate firms to help with advertising on the one hand and PR and media relations on the other hand, rather than doing it all through a one-stop shop. And pursuant to this, we issued an RFP to identify an advertising agency, particularly with expertise in local media strategy. That yielded 8 applicants, with a high score going to local agency K2MD, to whom we wish to award the contract, total $500,000 per year. And just to be clear, the bulk of that money is earmarked for purchases of airtime and advertising space, hard costs, in other words. So the idea moving forward is to have K2MD in the immediate near term help with the development of a new Xeriscape campaign that will roll out next spring. And they've also just completed, their first assignment was to purchase media for our Water by the Numbers program, advertising for late summer and early fall of this year. And we're also going to be consulting with them on possible adjustments to our social media strategy. Our new PR firm, the 2540 Group, whose contract is so small that it requires no board approval, will help promote conservation programs via local news outlets and community groups. So we're hoping that the outcome of these changes will provide for expanded reach, for increased exposure for our programs, and will generate some fresh creative in order to stimulate interest amongst viewers and our customers. So obviously we're recommending approval. I would stand for any questions.
Thank you. I move approval. Do I have a second? We'll have some discussion. Second by Councilor Grau. I just wanted to make a statement that I think this is extremely important for us, particularly now, as we've heard in our public comment, every time I drive over the Central Bridge going home, I see an empty river and the stressed bosque, and this is a time where I think the Water Utility Authority can be reaching out to our community and talking about the importance of conservation and the significance of drought and climate change that we're dealing with. So this is really an important use of our funds in my estimation. But any other? Yes. Ms. Vogel.
So thank you. I am very interested and excited to see what gets produced in the new Xeriscape campaign, because I think that everybody has a role to play in this. It's not just somebody else's issue. And I absolutely want to give you kudos and appreciation for collaborating with the Village of Los Ranchos and producing an article for our water issue this July, or lack of water issue in the Village Vision. It was really well received and had lots of very practical steps, and I think that's critical right now. Thank you.
Very glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A quick, just questions about this contract. This is a 4-year contract at $500,000. Is it $500,000 for the period, or I know it's $499,999 for the full 4 years, or is that an annual cost? Is that your annual budgeted amount of $500,000?
That will be the annual budgeted amount.
So it's actually a $2 million contract, or for a $1.6 million contract?
Is it $2 million?
I'd have to talk to the purchasing people as to the length of the contract.
Madam Chair, so what we have in front of us says that it begins July 1 and continues for 4 years.
Oh, well, it can be renewed on an annual basis, so that's our intention.
Okay, and so my question is your annual budget $500,000 with the intention of it being annually $500,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. So I thought I heard you say social media, although I didn't see it on your presentation in terms of the percentages of the cost increase, radio, television, or whatever. And I'm assuming social media is a big part of this campaign, or not?
It will definitely be a component of the campaign. We will stipulate that for sure.
Yeah.
And they will come to us with, I'm sure, a lot of great ideas about how we can optimize that.
Right. Yeah, I just think a lot about what types of media hit certain people, right, in terms of, you know, obviously young people.
And that's why we wanted to have a firm that has expertise in local media strategy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Councilor Champagne.
Madam Chair, thank you. You said that this is an annual renewal, or is this a 4-year contract? And I'm just kind of stuck on the details of what we're describing here, because I know in your description you said it's $500,000 annually, and it's a 4-year contract.
Thank goodness, purchasing is here.
You've been saved.
Thank goodness for purchasing.
Madam Chair, members of the board, so it's a 4-year contract is what we advertise. That $500,000 cap is a not to exceed amount per year, but it's as needed as ordered services. So we're not obligated to spend that full amount, but we have budgeted up to that.
Okay, and
for
so,
4 years.
Madam Chair, do they come back every year, or do you come back to us and say, hey, this contract will be continued because they met our expectations, or if they didn't, you come back and say, hey, we're going to discontinue this contract in year 2?
So this approval will be for the full 4 years, and we have the option to extend beyond that if needed, but this approval will be for the original 4 years. If it's canceled or terminated, that won't come back to you guys. That would just be an internal discussion.
Okay.
Unless you want it to, we can do that too.
No, and CAO Single brought up a great point, is that it's being presented as a Madam Chair, it's being presented as a $500,000 contract. And maybe I missed it in the sense of that it was expressed that it's total 4 years, and moving forward would be a better suggestion is if you come forward and say it's a $2 million contract, so we get a good description and a better picture of what it is. 500 per year for 4 years, totaling $2 million sort of thing.
Perfect. Yep, we can definitely do that. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any
Madam
other
Chair,
questions?
Commissioner Olivas has
Okay,
his hand raised.
thank you. Commissioner Olivas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Morris, for this. I think the new strategy tweak is a good idea. And following Commissioner Frank Baca's point, I think that we need to invest more in social media. Just speaking for my own demographic, I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the radio. Most of my friends are in that same boat. And unfortunately, we spend most of our time scrolling on, for me, Instagram, other social media platforms. And luckily, my understanding is that's also some of the cheapest real estate as far as advertising goes. So I hope that we investigate that further with our new partner and really double down on that, both the paid side and the unpaid side, just, beefing up our presence, more short videos, more dynamic content that maybe even just generates organic views and viewership. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of upside there to grow our presence and educate the public. That's what it's all about, right? About conservation and protecting our water resource.
Thank you, Commissioner. CAO Single.
Thank you. I promise this is my last comment, which is a little bit like beating a dead horse, which of course then would show up on social media. So I do think when I look at the scope, it doesn't mention social media specifically. And so I don't want to blow up your contract by any means, but I think what we're indicating is that we would want that to be a specific, not just digital media, but social media expertise to be applied. And I think when you talk about the topics that have been your primary expression of concern, areas of focus, and what we realize in terms of what audience needs to hear that most, it's a really important part of what needs to be included. So I imagine that they will wrap that inside of the scope somehow, but I think it's important that we are very deliberate about ensuring that that's included.
Yes, and are you looking at the scope right now? Oh, okay. Well, we'll make sure that it is formally addressed.
Any other questions? Ms. Ellis, please call the roll.
Madam Chair Baca?
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne?
Yes.
CAO Single?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca?
Yes.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
Item 9F, C26-17, Diane Agnew.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. We're seeking approval of a contract with the United States Bureau of Reclamation. This contract includes two components. One of them is the ability to continue to store water in Elephant Butte, and the second component is to be able to run a pipeline across the Valle de Oro property. The Water Authority does regularly store San Juan Chama water in Elephant Butte. We do that so we can increase flexibility of our operations. Occasionally, they are not able to release San Juan Chama water from ABCWUA, and when that occurs, we're able to get special approval from the state engineer's office to continue operating and diverting our plant, and we just pull that out of our storage account in Elephant Butte. I'd also like to highlight that it doesn't allow us to have increased flexibility with supporting the state with compact deliveries. In 2024, there was a sediment plug on the Rio Chama that prevented the state from being able to move compact water in time to Elephant Butte by the end of the year. They were able to use our water that we already had in Elephant Butte to make a pre-delivery on the compact, which allowed them to negotiate with Texas for moving the compact water in early 2025. So it gives us flexibility and has also been able to help the state have flexibility in their compact deliveries. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Agnew? No? Okay, I move approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ms. Salas, please call the roll.
Madam Chair Baca?
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne?
Yes.
CAO Single?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca?
Yes.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
So called. Thank you. Item 9G, C2618, again, Ms. Agnew.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we are seeking approval from the board to increase the amount of money that we contribute to the Albuquerque Biopark Minnow Refugium from $165,000 a year to $280,000 per year. We have an existing agreement with the biopark. That agreement is a requirement of our biological opinion with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to rear up to 33,000 Rio Grande silvery minnow every year. We have been consistently contributing that amount since like 2004, and this increase is because of increased operational costs at the refugium. I will also say that the Water Authority is the sole funder of the operation of the refugium, which is the highest producing refugium in the Rio Grande silvery minnow network. It consistently produces the most minnows that we then use to augment the population in the river at the end of the year. So it's a successful program as well. And with that, I'll stand for any question.
Any questions? City of Albuquerque, you don't have any questions about this? You're welcome. I move approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Salas, please call the roll.
Madam Chair Baca?
Yes.
Vice Chair Champagne?
Yes.
CAO Single?
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca?
Yes.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Great. Thank you. Now we move on to item 10, other business. These are information-only items. 10A, OB 2612, Bosque Water Reclamation Facility Update. Patricia Jones presenting.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. I'm Patricia Jones, and I serve as the project manager for the Bosque Water Reclamation Facility. I'm happy to present our project overview to you this evening and launch our public outreach campaign. The program is a Portfolio 1 priority in the Water 2120 plan, providing a source of reuse water to parks, schools, and other large outdoor water users on the west side. Will contribute to conserving drinking water resources and provide drought resiliency. No, I'm a little bit ahead of myself here. So the Water 2120 plan, as I stated, is where the program is identified and addressed. The IIP also identified the need to provide collection system capacity relief on the west side. The Bosque Water Reclamation Facility will be a liquids-only treatment plant that will decrease flow in the interceptor, mitigate the need to replace collection piping in congested areas, and extend the collection system service life. The Water Authority has been engaged in a long-term planning partnership with Bosque School, commencing in 2009 with the purchase of the facility property. Our agreement addresses providing a compatible appearance, a landscaped perimeter, continued partnering to provide educational opportunities to Bosque School and APS students, and eventually providing reuse water to the school's campus. At the beginning of design, we commenced regular coordination meetings with Bosque School, and we plan many engagement workshops as the design elaborates and the construction commences. The Bosque Water Reclamation Site is an undeveloped property, commonly referred to as a greenfield project. To successfully execute a project of this complexity, the Water Authority will continually engage with and require approval from numerous regulatory agencies at the federal, state, and local level. The program will be executed in phases over many years. The first phase will construct the Bosque Water Reclamation Facility, providing the entire backbone infrastructure for build-out capacity of 10 million gallons per day of treatment, but will initially be equipped to treat 5 million gallons per day. Phase 1 also includes constructing a nature-based, vegetated earthen-lined channel through the bosque, which will help protect and enhance habitat by returning consistent source of flow to the Rio Grande within the city's boundary. Future phases will include adding equipment to increase the treatment capacity from 5 to 10 million gallons per day, and eventually the west side reuse system infrastructure, including distribution piping, pump stations, and reservoirs. The project, phase 1, components include a flow split structure to convey collection water from the existing infrastructure to the plant. Treatment will be accomplished using state-of-the-art membrane bioreactor technology, and treatment equipment will be enclosed in buildings and in covered tanks. The high-quality effluent will be discharged to the Rio Grande in the short term and distributed for reuse on the west side in the long term. The facility is located on Mirandela Street, near the southeast corner of Coors Boulevard and Montano Road intersection, next to the Pueblo Montano Trailhead and the Bosque. As you can see from our site plan, we are making the most efficient use of the property as possible. The buildings are intentionally placed surrounding the treatment tanks to provide visual screening, as well as efficiently move water through the treatment process. In this example preliminary site rendering, the administration building and the main entrance at the southwest corner of the site are shown, and the concept landscape buffer along Mirandela Street is visible in the foreground. The Water Authority is using the construction manager at risk delivery method for this project. Carollo engineers are designing the facility, and Bradbury Stam is the general contractor currently providing constructability review and value engineering input during design. The Bosque Water Reclamation Facility is midway through design with the 60% deliverable currently in review. Design is projected to be completed in late summer 2027. Construction is tentatively scheduled to start in November of next year and planned to take approximately 3.5 years to complete. The design completion and construction start timeframes are subject to change depending upon regulatory approval process. The public outreach campaign for this project commences with this board presentation and the project website going live today. Our first public meeting will be held on September 1st at the Raymond Sanchez Community Center. Public outreach efforts include continued coordination with Bosque School and targeted regular engagement with the surrounding community. Further, we plan to hold a public groundbreaking when construction commences, as well as implement and continually update our detailed communications plan throughout construction. That concludes our presentation on the Bosque Water Reclamation Facility. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
I have a comment, and I would really want people to ask questions about this because I am so very excited about this project. The location to the south of Montano and east of Coors, I mean, that is a key hub for access to the Bosque. Trail use is a very popular parking lot and trail users galore, both crossing the river and going north and south on the levee roads.
Yes.
So the location is just, wonderful, also related to the Bosque School. So I just say kudos to the media that you're talking about, because this is something I think as a community we can really be bragging about and be very proud of, and educating our youth about the importance of water in our river and water conservation and outdoor recreation and all of those wonderful things. So thank you, and you can count on me to be there at those meetings. I'm really looking forward to how the community reacts to this. It's really an important
Thank you,
project.
Madam Chair.
Yeah. Any questions or comments? Member Baldwin.
Thank you. This is a ditto. This is an incredibly exciting project, and given the scarcity of surface water, this is such an important component. And I guess my question is sort of a pragmatic giddy up and go. Are there incentives intended for the contract so that they can maybe beat the time frame, as well as some, holding feet to the fire penalties if they fail to meet mileposts? Because we can't get this soon enough online. Not only because it's an exciting project, because boy, do we need the water.
Yeah. Thank you, Trustee Baldwin. Those factors are always a part of our considerations. There are some unique complexities associated with the size of this property, how shallow groundwater is, that will, impact Bradbury Stam's ability to what we call compress a schedule. So we have attempted the 42-month lead time is approximately 36 months for construction. And because it is a greenfield plant, we're anticipating at least 6 months of startup. It's a very challenging process to start up an entirely new process. Having said that, greenfield projects are kind of once in a lifetime in a career. And I'm just incredibly grateful and thrilled that the Water Authority trusts me with, trying to lead this effort.
Ms. Hagel, and then
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question around the property owners around the site.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Bosque School is to the south. Is the property north and the property west also owned by Bosque School, or do we have other owners, property owners that are have been considered in this?
Thank you. The property to the north is city. That's the Pueblo Montano trailhead. It's the main access to the Bosque in this area. The property to our west is currently undeveloped. It's owned by the Dascalos family. Okay. and then the Bosque is to our east.
And I'm sorry, Madam Chair,
Yes.
the property that's undeveloped between this and Bosque School is still owned by Bosque School?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Baca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sure you said this, and I apologize, I didn't hear, I was just looking through material, I didn't see it, but the costs and the funding, I'm sorry, source, if you please tell me.
Thank you. Yes, the current engineer's estimate that is based on our 30% design is
So, I'm sorry?
The current engineer's estimate based on the 30% design is, came in at about $300 million.
300 million.
The Bradbury Stam, as part of our construction manager at risk team, will be developing the 60% cost estimate. And we anticipate receiving that in early October. Because the contractor will be developing it, and the unique nature of this delivery method is that it's an open book estimate. So we will be able to get into the granular detail about what they're proposing and where they're deriving their costs.
And the funding that's in,
The funding sources currently being pursued for the facility are Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and we have not received an official commitment, but they are actively working with our finance team to develop a robust funding package for this project. The vegetated conveyance portion of the project will be under this contract, but it will have its own set of construction or project documents. And the purpose of separating those two is that we intend to go after very targeted funding for that portion that, by carving it out, wouldn't be available to us if it's part of the facility.
thank you.
I'll follow up on that. So very targeted funding where? The federal government? I mean.
So Clean Water State Revolving Fund is a state administrated fund that is federally supported. And then the remainder of whatever we do not, and those are low interest, long-term loans. That is not grant money. The rest of it, the utility will be pursuing through bond and loan.
And state capital outlay, are we looking at that as well?
We have a current allocation that is significantly funding the design effort from capital outlay, and I'm sure that we will continue to pursue annual requests of that nature.
I guess the reason I'm asking those questions is obviously as we go out to the community and we get excitement and encouragement from our community, our state and our federal legislators will be listening. So
yes,
that helps us quite a lot. I mean, this is going to be a unique, isn't it going to be sort of a perennial discharge into the Rio Grande channel?
That until the reuse system is built, but there will be some component of discharge, if not throughout the year. Yeah. And it will be a balance. But until the reuse system is, funded, designed, and built, all of the treated effluent from this plant would go into the river. Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Move on to 10B, the water report. Amos Arbor and Diane Agnew. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Amos Arbor and I'm the Water Conservation Program Manager. Today I'm filling in for Water Resources Division Manager Mark Kelly to present this month's water report. The supply metrics snapshot shows that the Drought Severity and Coverage Index, or DSCI, remains at 400. And unfortunately, 100% of Bernalillo County is currently classified in extreme drought. Despite these challenging conditions, our conservation efforts continue to produce positive results. Daily per capita water use is at 125 gallons, which remains well below our current goal of 131. And lastly, groundwater pumping is at 119% of the annual target. This slide shows the drought stage matrix from the Water Resources Drought Management Plan. And using the current inputs, we can see the DSCI is currently 400, GPCD is well under the goal, and groundwater pumping is at 119%. That puts us within the drought advisory stage. And one notable action triggered by the drought advisory is to increase public education via drought classes, where customers can receive a $20 rebate for attending. And with regards to the drought classes triggered by the drought advisory, I'm excited to provide a brief update on our FY26 drought webinar series, which generated strong community interest, engagement, and water savings. So each webinar features a unique topic presented by an outside expert and is offered every other Friday at noon. During FY26, the series generated nearly 43,000 registration page views, attracted more than 7,000 registrations, and resulted in almost 3,800 attendees. That translates to a 55% attendance rate, which is very high for a free public webinar series. We also issued more than 2,000 customer rebates, providing an incentive for participation while encouraging customers to learn more about drought conditions, outdoor water conservation, and the rebates and resources available through the Water Authority. Beyond the numbers, these webinars helped us to reach thousands of engaged customers who can share what they've learned with neighbors, friends, and family, extending the impacts of our conservation messaging throughout the community. Now, the primary purpose of these webinars is education, but we also track water use among participating customers to better understand the impact. In FY26, we verified 3,766 participants who both met the attendance requirements and provided valid account information. Of those attendees, approximately half reduced their water use. Among customers who saved water, the average savings is currently 18,000 gallons per account, and the average reduction in water use per account is 39% compared to the same month in the previous year. Collectively, participants have already saved approximately 6.5 million gallons of water. And because many participants have only recently completed a webinar, we expect those savings totals to continue growing as additional billing data becomes available. Now, overall, the results suggest that the drought webinars are not only reaching customers, but also helping many of them make meaningful changes that reduce water use. So that concludes my portion of the water report. I'm happy to answer any questions before turning the presentation over to Diane Agnew for the ASR update.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Arbor? Councilor Grout, Member Baldwin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this report. It's very interesting. I'm very interested in the Zoom classes every other Friday. So will it be in 2 days?
Correct.
The next one? And how long is it? Is it an hour long?
Correct. It's from noon to 1. The first 10 or so minutes, I provide an introduction and background about the drought and all of the amazing resources we offer for our customers. And then there's a 45-minute or so presentation by an outside expert.
And, I just forgot my other question that I was going to ask. So is it interactive?
Madam Chair, Member Grout, they are not currently this year. We decided due to some technical abilities with the application that we're using, that the back and forth was becoming problematic. And so what we do, however, offer is a Q&A portion, and where folks can enter in questions, and then we provide answers if there's time. We also have a great resource that we offer to our attendees and everyone else, is that we have this Ask an Expert email address, and so multiple times throughout the webinar we encourage folks to reach out to us to ask any question related rebates or anything irrigation or landscape, we also have a hotline that folks can call in and where we advertise and offer our free landscape and irrigation consultations.
Perfect, thank you. And 2 more questions, Madam Chair. Is the webinar the same every 2 weeks? Are you covering the same information? And then where can we find the link to sign up?
Madam Chair, Member Grout, I appreciate that question, and sorry, please remind me if I forget one component of that question. So every single webinar is a unique topic. We provide information about the drought and our resources that's somewhat repeated. However, the bulk of the presentation is a unique topic each and every single webinar. The registration information is available on the Water Authority's Yard and Garden website, which is 505outside.com. That's our dedicated website. So we just have information about all things landscape irrigation and our rebates. And on that website, there's a tab for events, and you can see the information there. We encourage our customers to sign up. We send out a promotional email the Tuesday before the class, which has been incredibly popular. And we also allow anyone who's interested to join these webinars. We want to spread the education around to anyone who's interested.
Madam Chair, final question. What is the email, or how do I sign up to receive your emails on Tuesday?
Oh, sure. So if you go to our, Madam Chair, Member Graf, if you go to the website, the 505outside.com, and you simply scroll to the bottom, you can subscribe to our newsletter. And once you've subscribed to that newsletter list, you will also receive the promotional emails. Additionally, any of our customers who receive our electronic billing also are on that mailing list. Okay. We currently have over 130,000 people on that mailing list, and more than half of them click on those emails.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Baldwin?
As somebody who has watched those webinars and availed myself of 505 Outside, it is truly one of the sort of best, easy to access, digestible sources of information. I always learn something out of the emails I get in the inbox, so kudos on that. It's really lovely. I guess, and I don't know if this is more Diane, but it is a little, I don't know, perplexing. We look at the supply metrics snapshot and it's pretty grim. We look at Bernalillo County and being in that sort of bright red. And yet the way our system is set up to designate drought stages based on groundwater pumping, it's sort of like, well, it's a drought advisory. And I think sort of a general human populace is like, what are you talking about? That, we're not advising of it. It's like, it's here, we got a problem. And so if there's a way to maybe, I don't know, recalibrate the description so people aren't being given sort of like, we got a problem, but we're sort of in the advisory, we'll think about it kind of stage. That I think would help everybody sort of get on board and get in line with what's going on, because it does just seem a little bit not pointing in the same direction.
I appreciate the comment, and I think it's a valid point. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Agnew?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I think to build on Amos's presentation, that the communication to our customers is absolutely that there's a drought and there's an urgent need to conserve. And so the drought matrix that we present is communicating how we are taking action. And Amos's team does everything under that drought advisory and more so, but I appreciate the comment. I am here to talk about aquifer storage and recovery. It's been a while since we've given an update on what we have been doing, and then as you saw on the agenda tonight, there's approval to expand our ASR program. So I will like to highlight Bear Canyon Recharge Project. This is the original ASR project in all of New Mexico. It was the first project that was permitted and operational in New Mexico. It was fully permitted in 2007, but prior to that, we did multiple years of demonstrating the science of this type of supply. It is what we call bank filtered San Juan Chama surface water, so we are pulling that from a subsurface diversion at the Alameda open space in the river. It's pulling San Juan Chama water, and then we are recharging it in the Arroyo del Oso channel up by Arroyo del Oso Park. So we're utilizing existing infrastructure, and we're utilizing Mother Nature's engineering. So that arroyo is functionally where water can flow down and infiltrate and make it to groundwater. As part of bringing Bear Canyon online, we actually did quite a bit of work to show how much water is going into the ground, how long it gets to the ground, and really prove out the science that this type of project is feasible and can be permitted, and we can actually quantify that water that's making it to the ground. It is permitted for up to 3,000 acre-feet per year. That is actually the amount of San Juan Chama water that we have permitted under a surface water permit called 4819. So this permit for Bear Canyon actually envisions a year where we could potentially recharge all of the water on that permit through Bear Canyon. Currently, that 3,000 acre-feet on 4819 is split between delivery of water to the North non-potable irrigation customers and Bear Canyon. We're only able to operate between October and March, which means that when we're recharging in Bear Canyon, we have zero customer demand for irrigation water for San Juan Chama water. So we're not doing a trade-off. We're not shifting those customers to another water supply. They have no demand because it's winter. They're not irrigating their turf. And we're taking that remaining water and putting it in the ground so it's available. We have almost 3,000 acre-feet of water in the Bear Canyon project. One of the things I think is really, and I recognize it's nerdy, but I think it's really cool. You can see the mound of water from Bear Canyon in the geophysical data for that portion of the aquifer, which means it's sitting in the aquifer. We are seeing water levels come up where we're recharging, and that has a net benefit to the aquifer. We do not recover water under Bear Canyon, so it's simply there to boost the health of the aquifer. And then it's a very long name, but the large-scale recharge project that began full operation in 2020. That consists of a large diameter direct injection well where we directly infiltrate treated San Juan Chama water into the aquifer. It also provides the ability to recover that water if we need to meet customer demand. We are able to recharge up to 5,000 acre-feet per year under that permit, and we have just about 5,600 acre-feet of recoverable volume. That project is operated under two conditions. So one, the surface water treatment plant has to be operating to be able to put water in the ground. It also only operates when there is capacity to recharge water. So we prioritize delivery of San Juan Chama water to our customers. So it's not really until the later months of the year, so October, November, December, when that customer demand is coming down, that we see that we have San Juan Chama water that we could divert, and we beneficially place it in the aquifer for either for use as demand requires in high and peak demand months, or to the benefit of the aquifer. It sits there, it increases that water level, and it provides a net benefit. So Water 2120 did evaluate multiple supply alternatives. It looked at a variety of criteria, and projects that rose to the top included the Bosque Wastewater Reclamation Facility that you saw Patricia present on, and aquifer storage and recovery was another really important component of Water 2120. Since Water 2120 was approved, we've been working on the path to expand our ASR program. I didn't put on the slide, but behind these two projects is a significant amount of technical analysis, including a collaborative study with the Bureau of Geology in Socorro to look at the feasibility and the suitability of ASR in Albuquerque. We then did an internal analysis, and then we turned it over to a consultant to do an additional analysis, and that feasibility analysis with the consultant is how these projects were identified. The first one I'll highlight is the one that you approved earlier tonight, and I really appreciate that, both in the Water Trust Board funding and the construction contract, is to expand that large-scale recharge project. So we're going to add 2 wells to that project. Councilor Grout, you had a question about location. This map here on the lower right is showing the outline of where we're located. So the two wells are on the far eastern side in the corner of that property. These two wells will have the capacity to inject as much as the ASR well, the existing one. We think we have the ability to recharge up to 9,000 acre feet per year when we're fully operational. That will vary, again, like I said, depending on the operation of the treatment plant and also capacity in the system. And then similarly, we're going to go to Arroyo del Oso Golf Course. This site was selected for a variety of reasons. One of them being that there is a nice, we know that we can hit the Santa Fe portion of the aquifer that can easily accept the water for recharge. And it's a great opportunity to collaborate with the city of Albuquerque. That project is currently in design. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Agnew. Any questions? Questions? Great work. Thank you very much. And that concludes our business, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.